How's it going, everybody? This is Rob Novakast back with another video. With this one, we'll be talking about Loki, Season 1, Episode 5. Now, I gotta say, with this episode, there's a lot going on, and it's actually really good. So, there will be spoilers, but to just briefly talk about this episode, there's a lot to talk about with this particular episode. But I'm gonna try to condense it as much as possible, because there will be spoilers with this, but it kind of makes you wonder what's gonna happen now, especially with certain situations involving Loki and the TVA. So without further delay, why don't we go ahead and get started. So the episode starts literally right after Loki got pruned. And before we continue, I should talk about, the world itself, because at first we see this desolate world where it seems like everything's been destroyed. In this city area or cityscape, we see what looks like Stark Tower, or what would have been Avengers Tower. So there's a lot going on in this whole area. But yeah, the episode starts where the last one left off, where Loki was pruned. He's now wondering where he's at, whereas, in front of him is other variant Lokis who help him up and tell him that they need to escape from something called Aliov, which I think that's what it was called. And Aliov, as far as we see it, is this giant cloud or destructive cloud that I guess in some way is some kind of creature, because at some point as we see them leave, we have this what looks like a demon or like a dog skull or something form from the cloud, and it looks menacing. It really does. As our Lokis, or I guess if anything the pruned Lokis or Loki variants, are trying to find safety, we see a variety of different things in the background, which I'm gonna say, after watching the episode, you may want to watch it again, because there's quite a few things that show up in the background that if you don't pay close attention, you won't realize or see it. Like, at some point, we see Ronan's ship in the background. We see some of the Chitauri's whale creatures in the background, too. We see, actually, a really funny Easter egg of the Thanos helicopter from Marvel Comics, which I thought was really hilarious. I haven't read the comics, but I know the Thanos copter. It was so funny. The helicarrier. At one point, you see the helicarrier in the background. So, kind of makes you wonder what this place is. And we actually get a quick explanation when it pans off to Sylvie and Renslayer, or Rona, which I think they were calling her Rona in the last episode, but now they're calling her the Renslayer. But anyways, Sylvie captured Renslayer. I'm just going to call her Renslayer. It's easier to remember for me. She captures Renslayer and tries to get information from her, but she gets betrayed and almost gets captured, but with her obtaining a tempad, proceeds to prune herself out of that existence after finding out where Loki went and the possibility that he's not dead. And the fact that, thanks to Renslayer, they mentioned the fact that they can't completely destroy matter, so instead they take it to a place called the Void, which is where our Loki went to. And basically it's a place that anything that is pruned from existence or erased or reset is brought there, which kind of makes sense. I mean, honestly, it makes sense. So, and they bring up the fact that even if you attempt to bring something, or at least you send something there, it will never come back. And to a large degree, we know why. Because, lo and behold, we have this crazy fucking cloud monster that sucks the life and matter out of everything that it touches. So, instead of being captured by, or being recaptured by Renslayer, again, Sylvie takes the temp pad that she was able to snatch and prunes herself. And after she's pruned, she gets a glimpse of something and is almost killed by the Aliov. But lo and behold, because to an extent, I mean, it was kind of like a short time frame between when they were pruned, Mobius shows up with a freaking car, actually a pizza car, which I kind of feel like that's a reference to something. I feel like it's a reference to something that I can't grasp. But yeah, he obtains a pizza car, or a pizza delivery car, and with his help, she's able to escape. And I guess we find out that apparently he has a favorite Loki to some degree, at least near the very end. But that's not, we're not there yet. So going back to our Loki, or I guess M Loki, I'll call him M Loki, or O Loki. But anyway, O Loki is able to escape or hide with Kid Loki, the Loki with the hammer, and Old Man Loki, which dons the classic Loki costume. And also, before I forget, the alligator Loki, which I gotta say, that one's a lot of fun, because there's this running joke in the entire episode with them questioning whether or not that the alligator Loki is actually a Loki. Either way, it's really funny. And there's a lot of funny shit with him, like when he growls or something, people are like trying to question what it's saying, but I guess the Old Man Loki in the classic Loki getup understands everything he says and does. And to an extent, we hear a little bit as to how each one was captured by the TVA and pruned. For instance, the Kid Loki, he killed Thor at a young age. When it comes down to the one with the hammer, to an extent, he kind of, I don't know if he was lying about his, but he was talking about how he did something with Thanos and he captured all the Infinity Stones, this and that. At this point, I don't care. With the Old Man Loki, however, that one was actually really interesting, where he talks about how during I'm assuming when they got to the ship, like the moment where after Ragnarok, instead of dying, he actually used his magic to create an illusion to make it seem like he was dead, like Loki did for the second Thor movie. But instead of just disappearing, he stranded himself onto a planet, and due to his loneliness, he tried to find civilization, find people, and they caught him. That's how that one was caught. And in some sense, our Loki, Loki, is getting irritated because he wants to get out and defeat the TVA, but nobody's for this whole thing that he has planned. Because at this point, they figured, there's no way of escaping. It's impossible. If we go out there, we're dead. Comparing Olioff as a shark, which I thought was kind of interesting. And eventually, Loki's like, I'm going to just get out of here. Oh, by the way, there were two other things that I should mention that are, I don't know if I can classify them as Easter eggs. But two other visuals. They go underground to the hideout for Kid Loki, and two things we see, and I had a quick giggle, or not giggle, but a quick laugh, where we see Mjolnir, not destroyed, Mjolnir, and a little Loki in a mason jar. I saw that, I'm like, what the fuck? I thought it was funny. I mean, I think that out of anything, that was the funniest moment, where we see they're panning to the underground and we see this little Loki in a little mason jar. It was so funny. It was so great. But yeah, Loki, or Loki, is not having it. He wants to get out, try to find a way to escape. Comes up with the plan that maybe we should kill Olaf, which everybody laughs at. And as he tries to go up the stairs to escape, to leave, we're encountered with another, actually not just one, but I think it was like 6 other Lokis. One of them wearing his usual like small helmet and a Loki voting button, which I thought was kind of hilarious. And apparently this is like what happens after this is like a whole on I betray you, you betray me situation where they're all going like backstabbing each other. Not our Loki. He's just sitting there like, what the fuck is going on? I think like watching Tom Hiddleston, or at least when he's playing that version of Loki, you can tell that he's just fucking done with this whole situation. And I think he kind of realizes, oh god, is that what I'm like? Because the Loki and the hammer, once the other Lokis show up, the one with the hammer betrays everybody, and then he gets betrayed, and then the one that's been following the other band of Lokis ends up getting betrayed, and they all just start killing each other. It was actually really funny. Actually, by the way, this is right after the alligator Loki decides to bite off the other Tom Hiddleston Loki's hand, and it is so funny. Like it was actually that. By the way, actually no, that's the second funniest fucking scene in this entire episode, where the alligator Loki jumps up, just basically starts trying to eat his arm. He's able to pull alligator Loki off, but he managed to take his hand with him, and he stares. He's like, ah! It is so freaking hilarious. And then again goes on to all the Lokis killing each other. Our Loki, Loki, as well as the old man Loki, or classic Loki, and Kid Loki and Alligator Loki managed to escape thanks to old man Loki's illusions. And at some point, they manage to show up, or at least before, actually going off and killing Olaf, they encounter both Sylvie and Mobius, who, by the way, there's actually really nice with everything that's happened with Mobius. There's actually a really cool scene like with following this, where they are in front of a campfire roasting, I don't know what it was. It looked like pork or something. I don't know. But either way, they are, cooking something, and they're having a conversation, like going back and forth, like, what will you do once you go back to the TVA? And Mobius is telling how he's going to try to, get people to change and stuff like that. And one of the most interesting things, at least so far when it comes down to it, is Mobius brings up the whole argument when it comes down to Lokis and them never changing. He says this one line, and I think he said it before in one of the previous episodes, that there's always a chance to change. And the old man Loki, I think, and you see near the very end, takes this to heart, because with everything, because he actually, by the way, before meeting Mobius and Sylvie, old man Loki is literally like, nothing changes, nothing ever freaking changes. But to an extent, hearing that, I think it stirred something inside him. And again, we'll when we get to it, because it's actually really freaking cool what happens. So after this whole thing, they come up with a plan. Sylvie, apparently, I guess, having a glimpse of something from the Olaf, decides she's going to enchant it. And hopefully, maybe there's a way to find whoever created the TVA through the Olaf. Loki decides to stay with her, Old Man Loki and Kid Loki decide to go their separate ways, and Sylvie gives Mobius the tempad so he can go back to his time, or if anything, go back to the TVA, which honestly is really cool. And he has there's a genuine moment where Mobius and Loki, before giving their separate ways, actually they both hug each other. And Loki, I think for the first time, or at least when it comes down with everything that's happened, he tells Mobius, "Thank you, my friend." And with everything that's, by the way, with everything that's gone on with Loki, this is a character who has not relied on friends, who's always used people. And in this situation, especially with everything that's happened, especially with him being in the TVA and having to deal with the TVA, he found somebody that he can trust. Not just with Sylvie, but with Mobius. And I gotta say, that's actually really cool. And it's interesting that how that I guess, if anything, that relationship between like the last couple of episodes and now have kind of changed Loki's perspective so freaking much. Which, again, I thought it was really freaking cool. So Mobius goes back, probably to the TVA, to tell people what's really going on. Kid Loki, Alligator Loki, and Old Man Loki go their separate ways, and Loki, our Loki, and Sylvie go towards the Oliav to try to enchant it. Now, I'm going to say this whole segment where they're trying to enchant the Oliav is actually really cool. And the way they started off is they have Loki, who, by the way, was given a blade or a magical blade from the Kid Loki, tries to distract the Oliav. And at first, it seems like it works, but it doesn't. Because as soon as Sylvie tries to enchant it, it notices her. And it starts turning its gaze towards her. And then we get this really cool scene where all of a sudden a cityscape starts to appear, which brings the attention to which directs the attention of the Oliav to the city. And it is an illusion of Asgard. And who is doing it? The Old Man Loki. And I gotta say this again, this is really freaking cool. And one of the Lokis, I think it was, if I'm on the top of my head, Loki or Sylvie was like, "How's he doing that?" And Loki's like, "We're a lot more powerful than we think, apparently." And Sylvie then decides, "You know what? You're helping me enchant this thing." And he's like, "I don't know how to enchant." And he's like, "We'll do it together." And sure enough, they grasp hands and they're trying to enchant the Oliav while it's being distracted. Now, unfortunately, the illusion doesn't last very long because, hell, it's fucking Asgard. It's probably not going to take very long for the illusion to dissipate. Sure enough, it dissipates, and Old Man Loki, saying like his final words, "Glorious purpose," is killed by the Oliav. And thanks to him, they were given enough time to finally enchant the Oliav, and within the cloud we see what looks like a castle. Like, it looks like a portal to another world. Like, the cloud opens up like a fog, and we see like what looks like another world or another dimension, or a pocket dimension, if anything. And in the distance, what looks like a castle with a light in one of the towers, or at least in one single tower. So with that, they know what they need to do, and they enter the Oliav to see who started the TVA. And that's how the episode ends. Again, there's a lot to go on, and I ask you guys, like, I'm gonna do it. Me personally, I'm gonna rewatch the episode when I have the chance, just so that way I can see if there was anything that I missed. Because, yeah, this was basically like an Easter egg episode. And it was actually, it was pretty cool. I actually really enjoyed this. And it was cool to see the other Lokis too, especially like what has happened to the other Lokis that have been pruned. Though, to be fair, it would have been cool to see the other variants that they showed in like the previous episode, where we got to see Hulk Loki or Thor Loki or heck, the other ones. Either way, it was cool. I loved this episode. Now, unfortunately though, as I think I've been told, this was the second to last episode. So there's one more episode after this. So who knows what's going to happen. But till then, though, I think if I were to start giving these ratings like I've been doing with my regular reviews, 10 out of 10. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this episode. It was actually a lot of fun. With that, though, I think I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Truly appreciate it. If you guys can, please leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. If you guys want to follow us on social media, links are in the description down below, as well as check out our daily content and the weekly podcast. With that being said, this is Rob Novakast signing off. Have a good one. Take care. Peace.
3, 5.